Welcome back to Tailgate Sports Media Podcast, the premier podcast for sports, mostly football. And the most important thing about sports, the tailgate. I'm Peyton. That's Devin. We're back this week. Cool thing that we did. I guess we'll start off with this. On Saturday, Devin and I were guests on the Fanatic Sports Talk podcast, which is hosted by a man named Bloka Mitchell. Very great man, very nice man. We talked with him and his co-host, or one of his co-hosts. That I'm not too sure how that works because I think he has multiple co-hosts, people that come on have like routinely been on. But his co-host was Anthony, also known as the Angry Puerto Rican, is what he said, but
Mhm.
also known as the Angry Loss because that's what he's titled himself when we saw him. Really good experience. I mean, it's the first time we've ever been on anyone else's show, and this is, I mean, as anyone that watches this knows, this is very informal. So it was weird at first because it wasn't. I'm not saying they were formal, just didn't know how it was going to go. And I say off the wall things, but very quickly realized that I we fit in well.
It was a cool group of guys. Again, thank you guys so much for having us. Really appreciate it. Can confirm, Anthony, I'm gonna start calling him Ant-Man. Was angry, cannot confirm he was Puerto Rican, but definitely angry and
He
love
was
the energy.
bald, so definitely Puerto Rican.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
that's crazy talk.
the only way we would
That's
have been
crazy
able.
talk.
To be fair, he did not show us his jeans. If he was wearing super tight jeans, then I would have been like, Dominican or Puerto
He
Rican.
was he was a Washington Commanders fan, and that's normally how I judge. That's normally like, oh, who's their NFL team? Commanders, I got nothing.
They were both really good dudes overall.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was great to be there. I had a good time.
Yeah. Hopefully we can have them on our show soon. I'm gonna try and make that work with Bloka and Anthony. I got to reach out because we've corresponded with Bloka, but we haven't corresponded with Anthony a lot. Besides, I guess when we talk to him, but they're both really good dudes. So hopefully we can have them on the show someday. Someday soon is what I hope. Okay, moving on. So we're going to jump into college football first. All right, we'll make this. We'll start with the games. So we're going to start with the games we picked that have already transpired. One game that we picked, we were filming this on Tuesday, um, December 30th. I almost said November. December 30th. So currently, right now, the Alamo Bowl is happening. Let's see here. Um, we picked the Alamo Bowl, right?
The Alamo Bowl, yes, sir.
It was
We
USC versus
picked.
TCU. USC is currently winning. Cool. I picked USC. You picked TCU. All right. So the Alamo Bowl is currently happening, but the games we did pick besides the Alamo Bowl, we picked. Dang, what did we pick? We picked the FCS championship, the Alamo Bowl. We
Yep.
picked the Georgia
We
Tech.
picked the Pop Tarts Bowl. We picked Virginia versus Missouri, and then we picked First Responders UTSA versus FIU.
We so it was the Missouri one we picked. Missouri played Illinois. No, Missouri played Virginia.
Yep.
That game already happened.
Yep.
Okay.
It was a high scoring, no defense.
We both picked. Did we both pick Virginia or did we both pick Missouri in that one?
We both picked Virginia. I was lying about the high scoring. It was thirteen
No,
seven Virginia.
I remember. I knew you were lying. I didn't watch the game because my whole family's been sick. Um, I've been down here, so for the last like 3 days, I've been taking care of my lovely fiance because she does that for me when I get sick. So I try and do that for her. All right, so we're just gonna jump into the games. We'll start with the game we already talked about, Missouri Virginia. Very low score. Missouri was out their starting quarterback, Bo Pribula. Missouri was Missouri was out. You know what? Let me just do this really quick. I'm gonna do something really quick because Yeah, that's fine. Missouri was out their starting quarterback. They were out. I feel like there's one other guy in the transfer portal. I think it was like a defensive end or something. But the big one everyone cares about, starting quarterback. Virginia was not out anybody from my recollection, which obviously helps. But yeah, it was 13-7, which kind of not quite how I would have seen that game going. However, Missouri's defense is really good, so it makes sense that they held them to 13 points. Um, who knew Virginia's defense was maybe that good as well? That being said, yeah. Any thoughts, Devin?
I get to watch it. I'm too busy, unfortunately. I don't know if it necessarily speaks great about either school. Virginia just lost the ACC championship. They could have been in the playoffs. I'm surprised they showed up to play at all,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's
I'd
fair.
be pretty disgusted at that point. So if they did get most of their guys to play, I mean, good on them, good on the coach, because
They're not a
they could have been playing. They could have, they could have gone in and lost to, Ole Miss, but instead they get the win over Missouri in a bowl game that I can't remember right now.
yeah. Um, they definitely didn't have a Iowa State situation going where they only have 17 players on their roster right now. So that's gonna be
Yeah,
crazy. I would be super excited if I was an Iowa State player because I would just get to sprawl out in the locker room. Um, but anyway, that being said, we're gonna move forward to the FIU UTSA game. Blowout. Jeez, it was a blowout. I think FIU's starting quarterback was also out.
well, it didn't look like it mattered for the first 5 minutes. For 5 minutes in, FIU's up 14-0.
Yep.
First offensive drive they had was real solid. I think they got a defensive turnover. I
Yep.
was at work for this one, but I definitely was like, "Hey, I'll be back in a few minutes." I kept wandering off. Um, and then next time I came back, UTSA had tied it up, and
It
they
was
never looked back.
yeah, I watched this game until about they were up, I think it was like 40 something to 20, and then I was like, adios. Yeah, it was just a blowout. UTSA, well, after the first two drives, Florida International, just FIU, they just didn't have their quarterback should have thrown 37 interceptions. They didn't. It was very shocking because FIU's running back was like an all conference player, and for a while they were just like hoping they could beat him through the eye. They must have seen something in film that made them think they had a matchup outside that they really liked, um, but they didn't have that matchup, and the quarterback was just you've seen ghosts. Um, Obviously, the UTSA team did really well. Uh, Very balanced offense, electric through the air. Owen McCown has one more year for UTSA, so um, I think they have they left this game happy with the um, I think result. I mean they're going to return probably their best tight end, probably their best their number one quarterback. I think they're returning all of their receivers. I'm not sure.
With Devin McEwen entered the transfer portal. I think that happened today or yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well, then they won't be returning Devin McEwen. So, but they still have DJ Allen, uh,
I believe so.
David Amador, and one other guy that I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just interesting. It was a good game. Devin McEwen leaving, that kind of made sense. Okay. Then the final game is the Georgia Tech. Who did Georgia Tech play?
BYU,
That's right, BYU. Georgia Tech, BYU,
probably the most prestigious bowl you can play outside the playoff.
the Pop Tart Bowl. It is the most prestigious bowl outside of the playoff. At this point, it's like tied with the Alamo Bowl. Like the Alamo Bowl and the Pop Tart Bowl are like the two bowl games that you want, which is crazy. It's like you have the historic name of the Alamo Bowl, which is historically a fun bowl game, a good bowl game to watch. Like back when during the BCS era, you were happy. You weren't Oklahoma fans weren't happy, but you were excited about being in the Alamo Bowl for most
Yeah.
teams. You get excited about that. Um, it's not like going to the Bahamas Bowl or something like that, which doesn't exist anymore. The Pop Tart Bowl was formerly the Camping World Bowl, was formerly
Believe so.
something else. I don't know. I don't think bowl games should be called names like the Alamo Bowl, or not the Alamo Bowl, like the Pop Tart Bowl. I think they should be called like the Fiesta Bowl brought to you by Pop Tarts or something of that nature.
Yeah. I need every bowl to do that. That means that's something that the future NCAA commissioner who's going to get assigned because I have hope. I have a lot of hope that I shouldn't have. They need to be like, hey, you need to pick a name for the bowl. This is the permanent name for this bowl. So that way you actually build history and you know what you're going to go play.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. But yeah, that being said, so Georgia Tech won.
It was a
Bach,
comeback too.
yeah, Bachmeyer, I think he got hurt again. He didn't play the whole game. Or maybe
Mm.
they rotated snaps in and out. And then yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was kind of like a traditional, like this. That was like this Georgia Tech team. That was like their story. It's just grit, just toughness. A coach that I'm surprised didn't get hired away by a bigger program. Georgia Tech is a pretty top-notch program. Like when you consider all of college football, I would throw Georgia Tech in as sorry, as a top like 50 team. Maybe top 70 team. So I would have expected him to get hired in as like a for like a top 25 program that has fallen off, but you never know. Yeah, it was a really good game. Very very shocking. Georgia Tech kind of threw out all the stops. Like they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go get this one," and they got it done. And BYU showed why they weren't in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean it was a good game, good game for sure. I know when I left because I was have at work at that moment, but I left during the middle of it. I was on the way home, and I got home, got cleaned up, food, and I looked at Georgia Tech. And when I left work, it was 21-10 BYU, and I got home the final score Georgia Tech 25-24, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yep, it was an exciting game. That's for sure. It's probably so far, unless you're a fan of a specific team, I would say so far that was the best bowl game. Yeah. So
Yeah, no, it was a good one.
two games, like I said earlier, two games that haven't occurred yet that we are not picking, or we picked, but we will have to update our win loss record with them in the next episode. The Alamo Bowl, which is currently happening, which let me give you a score update on the Alamo Bowl since we're talking about it.
3-0 into the first. TCU is in the red zone.
Yep, that is it. All right. And so the Alamo Bowl, SCS National Championship, that happens next Monday. Alamo Bowl happens today. So we will update those with the next week's scores. We're going to go ahead and jump into our picks for the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. So the quarterfinals of the college football playoff, we're going to go ahead and start with the we'll go ahead and start with the lowest seed team game, which is Ohio State versus um, Miami. So that's the 10
Mhm.
seed versus the 2 seed. And we'll kind of work our way up the seeding that way. So 10 seed versus 2 seed, we have Ohio State, Miami. It's a good matchup on paper. There's some cool stories. You have um, the starting quarterback of not the starting quarterback, the starting wide receiver for Ohio State. What's that dude's name? Jeremiah Smith is from Miami, and a lot of these Ohio State players who are from Florida have said like, "Hey, we would have gone to Miami if Miami didn't suck when we were getting recruited." That's what Jeremiah Smith said. He said probably would have gone to Miami if he knew this Miami was going to be like this, but he's committed to Ohio State. Um, so yeah, you have that. And Jeremiah Smith has one more year of college, by the way. He cannot leave for another year. So um, um, Miami's defense is really good. Ohio State's defense is probably better. Miami's offense can be very explosive. Their best playmaker is Tony, Malachi Tony, I believe. And Malachi Tony is a true freshman, I believe. He's either true or redshirt, but he's a freshman. Very explosive playmaker. Um, Scored the game-winning touchdown for them against A&M. And then on offense for Ohio State, they have the Heisman finalist Julian Sayin. They have Jeremiah Smith. They have Parnell Tate. They have a plethora of weapons. Their running back, whose name is escaping me right now for Ohio State's also pretty solid. Pretty much every position, Ohio State is on par with Miami, or if not better. Besides maybe pass rusher, because Ruben Bain. Um, yeah. So I'm going to take Ohio State. I think it's going to be a good game. I think Ohio State pulls away with it in the second half. I think the first half you're going to see a really close game, really good game. But I would trust Ryan Day more than I would trust Mario Cristobal. Although Mario Cristobal is, flipping that narrative upside down right now. But yeah, that's my take on it. Devin.
think I'm also taking Ohio State. I don't know, you know more about Ohio State players. You know a lot of teams because they're a good team and they got great players. They got dangerous weapons on offense. It's not going to be a Texas A&M situation where they only score 3 points. Um, this Ohio State defense, is a lot better than that Texas A&M defense. And you scored 10 against Texas A&M. Yeah, it's at Kyle Field, but as crazy as it is, the Kyle Field home field advantage isn't as strong as, and I saw this recently, isn't as strong as a lot of people think it is. They don't have a great, and it's part of just because the team sucks. Historically, not, they don't suck, but historically, that team hasn't been great. But a lot of teams, especially since they've been in the SEC, will go into Kyle Field and get wins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm just saying all that just to say that it doesn't have as big of effect on some teams as a lot of people, say or think it does. Um, I don't think you can score 10 points and beat Ohio State. Indiana had to score 13. I think that's an outlier for most situations. Um, I think you know, you got to score a decent amount of points and you got to have a lockdown defense if you're going to slow these guys down. I think Ohio State takes this. I don't think it's going to be super high scoring, not college high scoring. It might be look more like an NFL score, but yeah. Um, 17, 23, 20, 24, something like that. Maybe not necessarily that close, but I think it's gonna be a lower scoring game than maybe we expect.
I I think Ohio State's going to score more than that. Um, by the way, the running back for Ohio State was that West Virginia transfer. It was like CJ Peoples, something like that.
Mm,
I don't want to CJ Donaldson and then James Peoples, I think, is like their what's it called? Like their change of pace back. Um, they do a running back by committee, like almost everyone does.
right.
But yeah, I think it's going to be a little bigger difference of score than that. I think Ohio State, I don't see where the weakness is at, and unless you can pull them into a slug fight like Indiana did, and I don't think I don't think offensively Miami is as tough as the Indiana team is. They're
I can see
good,
that. Yeah.
especially athletically. Like they have better athletes on the outside, but in the trenches, really like grinding it out. Like if you're gonna play a spread game and you want to air it out and go fast on Ohio State, Ohio State has the weapons to do that with a plethora. So I think it's going to be a little bit. I think it's probably going to be like a 10, maybe a 13 point game. Like
See
different.
that. I don't think it's going to be that close. I was just kind of I was just giving out low scores. I don't see anybody. I I'd be slightly surprised if someone scored over 30.
Yeah, me too. I would be surprised if they did. And if someone's going to score over 30, it'd be Ohio State,
It's going to be
in
okay.
my opinion. Yeah. So we got that. So we both go Ohio State there. All right. So the next game, lowest ranking moving up, would be Alabama versus number nine Alabama versus number one Indiana. Um, so this is what we saw from Alabama last game is if they got real used to the exotic blitzes in the second half. So these 7-man fronts with pressure coming from all these other places against Oklahoma. Um, they got real used to it. Their defensive line or offensive line and the OU's offensive line as well. They were getting away with a lot of holding, with a lot of like just let them play going on. I don't think it's going to be a Big Ten ref crew this game, so it's probably going to be like an ACC or a Big 12. And these teams are a little more notorious for calling holds, or those crews are. So I would say it's not going to be as clean as far as like the holding calls go. And I also think that Indiana, however, lost their number one pass rusher. They also haven't played a game in almost a month. Maybe they've had a month and they've dialed some things up, but a month ago when they found out it was going to be Oklahoma or Alabama, they probably started developing a game plan for each team and kind of just slowly moving those game plans along for a month or for 2 weeks. Then once they found out it was going to be Alabama, their game plan started. They threw out the Oklahoma game plan and totally focused on the Alabama game plan. Kirk Signetti is a freak as far as head coaching talent and head coaching ability and what he's done with that roster. However, I think Alabama athletically is the better team. I don't think Indiana has a really good corner on the outside, but Alabama is one of those teams that you need more than just one really good corner. And Indiana has a good safety, but I would be more I really think that the matchup here because Alabama's not going to run the ball. Like we know that. We know Alabama's not going to run the ball. Indiana's not going to let them run the ball. And if Alabama does run the ball, it's going to be a long day. So with this matchup, you're looking at like, does Indiana have the dudes to stick to these guys, or do they have some type of scheme that Alabama hasn't seen to put Ty Simpson in a blender? Alabama kind of figured it out in the second half last game against Oklahoma. I think that continues, and I'm going to take Alabama by like 3 in a game that ends like I would say 30-27. I'm taking Alabama by 3.
I'm going to disagree with you on the outcome. Alabama definitely has better athletes. That's just the way the program works. A bunch of those guys are Nick Saban kids. Even with people leaving, still more people coming in, it's still Alabama, you know, drawing kids just by the name. People want to go play for Alabama. They figure, people want to play with, Kellen DeBoer. Kurt Signetti, if there was any coach at this point where I had to be like, hey, these kids aren't going to play for a month, you got to keep them razor sharp and focused, he's the dude. He just won the Big 12, not the Big 12, the Big 10. He just won the Big 10. There wasn't a great coach there before he took over. Uh, all those kids that he coached up last year, a bunch of them transferred out. He transferred a bunch of his old kids in from JMU and other places, and people are like, "Well, this is a great place to go get a shot," and you know, because this big school doesn't want to look at me, but this guy's going to play big school. I'm going to go. So, but that's still not 100% his roster yet.
Yeah.
Like we saw what happened when Brent Venables, a lot of offensive instability throughout his 4 years, but the defense has been stable for the most part, and you saw what happened when he got to year 4. lockdown, top-notch defense. This guy's not even to that point yet where he can be like, these are my kids learning my system. They have been learning the system over a couple of years and all that, but these aren't guys who have been there the whole time. And he just won the Big Ten championship. If there's any, he's the better coach in this game.
Yeah, 100%. And
He's
we're
the
talking
better
about a
coach.
coach that, and Kellen DeBoer has coached a team to a national title game, never won it. But I mean, like, these are two heavy hitters at head coach.
Yeah. What I've picked up on a lot of, and this is as a 32-year-old man that I've learned a lot these last couple of years, is as important as a roster is, the coach is almost more important. It's definitely not less important. Look at what he's done at Indiana. Look at what Ben Johnson did with the Bears this year.
Yeah.
You don't have to make big changes to a roster to be a competitor. Coaching makes a huge difference. Something that dude was like, you just won the Big Ten championship for the first time for Indiana. They're going to be in the college football playoff. They're the number one seed in the college football playoff for a team that's never had any success at any level. They're the worst, historically the worst team in college football. How do you feel? And he's like, gotta get ready for the next game. And it was like, okay, this dude is miserable from January 19th until next kickoff. Until fall camp starts, this guy's just in a deep, deep depression,
Mhm.
looking at kids to come bring play for his team. I I don't know. I can't pick against them. Maybe some of that is just me being a mad Oklahoma fan. I'm not mad at Alabama, just mad that we lost. But if anyone is going to be ready to play someone that should beat them, it's going to be Ohio State should have beat them.
Yep.
If there's anyone who's going to have this team ready, it's going to be him. So I'm going to take Indiana. I think it is a close game, but I also think that this is, with the exception of Georgia, the biggest game, their biggest hurdle that they have to get over. And I think they can do it. So I'm going to take Indiana.
Yeah. So they won't play Georgia until they make it to, if they make, Georgia makes to the championship. So they're on the,
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm saying is if they beat this game, there's nobody else that matches up that I can necessarily say like, oh, well, this team's definitely going to beat Indiana.
oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
There's no other team.
I'll say
If
this.
they
I'll say
if they
this
end
about,
up playing Texas Tech, which they would after this game, if Texas Tech wins, I would cheer for Texas Tech. But
yeah.
I I wouldn't feel good about it.
Actually, so I'll say this about the Indiana team. If they bring you into their game, if they make it a fist fight, I don't know if there's a team in the country that can beat them besides Georgia, like you said. So I would agree. I would agree with your analysis. I would just say that I think it's going to go a little differently. All right. So the next game, moving up by rank, is Ole Miss, Georgia. We've already seen this
Mhm.
game play out. Georgia barely beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss had Lane Kiffin back then. Ole Miss played a lot angrier, played almost like a little more, a little better of a game against Tulane the second time around. So Ole Miss is
Yeah,
getting all rematches in the playoffs so far. And if Ole Miss won't have to play a team, the only other team that Ole Miss hasn't, or Georgia's the only team left for them to play that they haven't played all year, or that they haven't played, or that they played already. So I mean, I don't know. The first game was close. It was in Ole Miss, or was it in Athens? I don't remember.
check it right now.
But it doesn't really matter because there is going. This isn't going
They
to
played
be
in Athens.
okay. Yeah, so you got Georgia without the home field advantage. Um, and a lot of people will say Georgia kind of won on a fluke. They got away with, you know, Kirby Smart said he claps like this is how people clap in Georgia. So um, I'm almost like I'm almost like one. I think I'm gonna go historically. If Kirby plays you a second time in the season, it does not go well for you unless you're Alabama. Besides this year, so from that perspective, I'm like, ugh. But then there's another side of me that's like, I watched that game. I think Ole Miss was the better team. I think Ole Miss was played better than this Georgia team did. Dang. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna just stick with Georgia because it's the safe pick. However, caveat to that is Trinidad Chambliss is poised to go off at any moment. And if he does go off, I think you have a different outcome on your hands. But I will be taking Georgia for my pick.
It's nice having the option to pick whoever I want here.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin, I always pick against Lane Kiffin, but he's not
Yeah.
there. If So you got neutral field. It was a very, very close, good game earlier in the season. People in Georgia clap weird. It's a thing. That's fine. Confirmed here on the Tailgate Sports Media podcast. Weird clapping at Georgia in Georgia. Um, Ole Miss does have because Georgia has had all that time off too.
Yeah.
Uh, Kirby Smart, credit to him. I also think he's a coach where he's not going to let that be an issue for the most part.
And here's the other thing with this game. The Georgia was never game planning for Tulane.
Exactly.
They had a
Exactly.
month long to game plan for Ole Miss. And Ole
Yes.
Miss probably also started their game plan a month ago.
Exactly. The benefit is they got a real game at full speed getting calls from Coach Pete.
Mm-hmm.
They have that benefit. So the offense defense didn't look like they had any issues versus Tulane. They played just as well they did earlier in the season. God, this is a tough pick, honestly. I'm going to risk, I'm going to risk my very, very thin lead that I have on you in picks. I'm going to risk my very, very thin lead, and I'm going to take Ole Miss for what I assume is the upset in a very, very good game. But I think those boys are still just as angry as they were a month ago.
Oh, 100%.
I think they're still just as mad. They're just as angry. If anything, the beat down to Lane proved to them we don't need no dang Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin butt sniffing, Ole Miss by 50. That's the motto. It'll be a close game. They won't beat
Yeah.
them by 50.
Yeah,
Yeah,
by
I'm gonna take Ole Miss.
50 my 50 nano points. Got it.
Yeah,
All right.
50 annual points.
So all right. And by 50 you mean they're gonna beat them by hitting a 50-yard field goal?
Honestly, if they beat them by a 50-yard field goal to win the game, honestly, dude, all my money on lotto tickets that week.
Nice. Yeah, good call. All right, so then the next game, the final game to pick, will be the Texas Tech Oregon game. Number 5, Oregon plays number 4, Texas Tech. All right, so Texas Tech offense is still an air raid offense, but a little less explosive. Still, not saying they're bad at all. They're very good, but just a little less explosive. The last time we saw them out, they were dominating BYU. Oregon hasn't played in 2 weeks. I mean, they played JMU, dominated JMU, obviously. Um, Here's the thing: is I think Tech is better on defense, and Oregon, while more athletic on offense, excuse me, while more athletic on offense, is younger, less experienced. Um, and for that reason, I think Tech's just freaks up front, freaks on the second level. Texas Tech is like their secondary is good. Hasn't really been tested that much because they've gotten pressured. They've gotten pressure and their second level is so good at cleanup that it's been insane. And and their backers, number 10, obviously, Rodriguez, and then their other backers, number 7. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but also like pretty much just as good. It's just 10 is getting all the is 10 is just a freak on getting the ball out. But number 7 is just as good at covering space, just as good at getting involved in the run game, side to side, from sideline to sideline, very good. High intellect, really smart dudes. Um, and I, while Oregon's defense is good as well, I don't think it's as good as Tech's. And I think Oregon's offense, while like I said, having the more explosive capability, is younger, less experienced, and has really like, they've struggled in games against some teams like that kind of shock you. Like they struggled against Iowa. Um, they struck. They didn't lose to Illinois. USC lost to Illinois. Sorry, I'm thinking about USC. But yeah, so played a really good game against Indiana. Their talent, like I said, their talent wise is right there. Their talent wise, they're better than Indiana. But this one is super tough. I'm gonna go ahead and take Tech though because I think Tech's defense is better.
I agree with that one. I'm also going to take Tech. I think the defense, Texas Tech defense, it has to shine here. But we've seen it from Oregon, and I've said it before. It's either Oregon either blows you out by 30, or it's a tough, gritty game. Um, but that we've seen that their offense can be stopped,
Mm-hmm.
and potentially this is the best defense they play all year.
Yeah, it's like their offense can
And
be stopped, and Tech has the defense to do it.
yeah, so and we know Tech can go down when they're healthy. They have their starting quarterback. We know they can go and score. I think Texas Tech has the edge on this one, and I'm going to give it to them for sure.
Yep.
That defense, if that defense comes and does business as they normally do, they should have a very, very good chance at winning this game.
Yep. I agree. All right. So we have picked all 4 games. I went. I picked Ohio State, Bama, Georgia Tech. You went Ohio State, Indiana, Ole Miss, Tech. So some variation there, but overall we picked 2 of the same teams, and then yeah. So anyway, that being said, we're gonna go ahead and move on from college football unless you have anything else to say.
Nothing to say. We're waiting on an FCS championship. We got the quarterfinals now. Nothing to do to wait. At this time, TCU is in the red zone. Looks like they get the first down for a first and goal. USC is up 10-7.
Okay, so yeah, well we'll see because I picked USC, you picked TCU. That'll change some things up there for us.
Yeah, I really need TC to pull this one because I took some risky picks this week.
Yep. Okay, moving forward, we're actually going to move on to the NFL. So we picked, gosh, I can't even remember the games we picked last time.
I picked all the Christmas games.
All the Christmas games, which was, I think the Bengals played on Christmas.
Nope.
They didn't. There
We
was
took Cowboys Commanders, Detroit Vikings, Broncos Chiefs.
the Broncos. I was thinking of the wrong orange team. Sorry. Yeah. So, all right. First game was the Cowboys who?
Commanders.
Cowboys Commanders. And the Cowboys beat the Commanders.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't watch the game. I watched some highlights actually, but I didn't watch the game. That one specifically. I was too busy doing Christmas things. Actually, everyone was like knocked out. We were like up until like 4 o'clock the previous morning. So yeah. So we were up until like 4 o'clock, but I do know that the Cowboys beat the Commanders. Um, it was not. It was kind of close in the. What was it? The Commanders had like a third quarter comeback almost, but the Cowboys, still stayed in the lead, and they never lost the lead, but they almost did, I should say. Yeah, that was whatever. What was your take as a Cowboys fan, Devin?
I didn't watch the game because it was Christmas and that's time for basketball. And I was too busy watching Stranger Things and Fallout.
1 second. Oh, Fallout. That's a good show. Watch the new episode comes out when?
Tomorrow.
Sorry, had to grab something for my for my lady.
No, I kept tabs on the game, but that was during brunch. So we have family brunch for
Yeah,
Christmas Day every year. So Christmas brunch that Peyton did not make it to.
nope. Okay.
So, you know, somehow
Well,
he's still the favorite. Don't know why.
I woke up at 9, and we were supposed to leave at 9 to make it for brunch, and my fiance was like dead. So I was like, we're not gonna make it. Yeah. And I was also anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so that being said, we were supposed to go up yesterday, but then everyone in the house but me was sick. So I was like, I don't want to get anyone up there sick. So I was like, well, wait, and we'll go up
Yeah,
up
stay the fuck away from me, dude.
Yeah. Then the next game was the what was it? The Vikings Lions. Vikings beat the Lions. The Lions are eliminated now officially, aren't they?
The Lions are officially out.
Gosh, that's crazy. But
And you picked the Lions too, so sucks to be you.
yeah, I assumed that's what I get. Vikings have turned it on too little too late, but they turned it on. Um, yeah, it was a it wasn't even that good of a game.
No, it was a bad game. The Vikings had negative passing yards. I
Yeah,
don't know if they finished at that point, but at one point like deep in the game, they had negative three passing yards,
yeah, it
which
was
is a lot more impressive than having negative rushing yards.
yeah, that's true. It's like you have to like attempt to be bad. But it's like the JJ McCarthy experience is like your team will win, not because of him, but also like he'll be like, I'm the leader of this team, and they're like, and then everyone loves him for some reason. If I'm Justin Jefferson, I'm like thinking about getting the fuck out of there. This is a team that had Sam Darnold last year, who's lit it up for the Seahawks, and they
I
really
uh
sat there and said,
I
JJ McCarthy's our future.
I heard from a Vikings fan that said that Joe Burrow is so sick and tired of the Bengals not getting him help, he's going to be a Viking next year.
If I was Joe Burrow, I'd start talking to Chase about forcing their way out, going to the Vikings, reuniting with Justin Jefferson.
Hey, thanks T. Higgins for compromising and working with us to stick around. I really need you to get here. Anyways, we're both leaving, motherfucker. Have fun in this shithole.
Yeah, I mean T. Higgins can go be a wide receiver alongside Emeka Egbuka for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then when because uh, Mike Evans is going to retire, Chris Godwin is injury prone at this point. You get a T. Higgins Emeka Egbuka lineup. Now, if T. Higgins were to go anywhere, I see T. Higgins I see T. Higgins in a team playing for a team like maybe the Patriots, maybe the Broncos, something like that. Some team that's a perennial like competitor right now that he would I could see him going and playing for one of those teams. Anyway, moving on to the next game, which was the it slipped my mind. Hold on, I got it. It was the Broncos and the Chiefs. Broncos won by 7. Um, 20-13. Kansas City's just not good. Broncos defense is good. Kansas City not good. I mean, like, here's the thing that I've noticed about Bo Nix is that dude loves throwing hospital balls. He fucking loves throwing hospital balls. He
You know
loves
who was
to,
another big hospital ball guy? Peyton Manning.
yeah, but here's the difference about Peyton Manning and hospital balls is Peyton Manning played football in an era where if you you didn't throw hospital balls because people actually went to the hospital because it was like legal to hit people, not like to just throw your body into somebody. some people did get hurt. Don't get me wrong, but for the most part, Peyton Manning, and also Peyton Manning played in that era, and he still threw for 55 touchdowns in a season, and he
Yeah, no
threw
shit.
ducks. He did not throw pretty balls. His ball just got to where it needed to go. The alternative to that is Bo Nix throws hospital balls in an era where it's hard to throw hospital balls. But that being said, I do like the Broncos a lot. Their defense is spectacular. So I don't know. Good. It was a good game. All right. So now we're gonna move on to our NFL picks because we kind of covered the games we talked about. So the first game we're going to talk about the Ravens Steelers playing for a playoff spot. So Ravens Steelers playing for a playoff spot. Obviously, just said that. Lamar Jackson, who the Ravens, we kind of wrote off in the beginning of the year. After Lamar Jackson got hurt, we kind of thought they're done. They weren't going to make playoffs this year. However, comma, Lamar Jackson comes back and they start lighting it up again in spite of maybe not having the best talent. I mean, Zay Flowers is okay. He's not great this year. He might have gotten hurt too, but Mark Andrews is okay. He's not great this year. But yeah, they're in the spot to maybe make the playoffs. I'm gonna take the Steelers though. Um, are they better than the Ravens? I don't know, but I just want Aaron Rodgers his last season to make the playoffs. I think this is Aaron Rodgers' last season. I want him to make the playoffs.
If Lamar Jackson is playing, I want to take the Ravens,
Okay.
but he's still day to day.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's been super, super injury prone, but then I can't go and pick the Steelers after they just lost to the Browns.
Here's the thing: is if you're Lamar Jackson, and this is why I'm a fan of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's going to say, "Fuck it, we fall." Like he will tough it out.
Uh-huh.
This like he's a tinier quarterback, obviously the most electric runner at quarterback we've ever seen. But I don't know. I just Lamar Jackson at 70% is still like unfathomably scary because is he the greatest thrower of the football? No. Is he a top 10 thrower of the football in the league right now? Absolutely. And then you add in the fact that maybe, I don't know, he's the most electric runner of a football we've ever seen play the quarterback position. Like, as far as I feel like the Ravens have underserved Lamar Jackson. Because if you get Lamar Jackson a good defense and you get him a decent O line, and you don't have to have a great O line because of his scrambling ability, and then you get him playmakers, like true playmakers, not an old Derrick Henry who's still really good, as we saw 4 touchdowns last game, or like you go get him like true number one wide receiver, like a Justin Jefferson. That's one of the scariest concepts like to think about because Lamar Jackson's never had a true number one receiver his whole NFL career. You
Yeah,
can't say that about
crazy to think about.
you can't say that about Tyreek or not Tyreek Hill. You can't say that about Patrick Mahomes. There is not a quarterback that's like considered in that top tier. Obviously, just Joe Burrow. You can't say that about Josh or Lamar Jackson's the only quarterback out of that bunch that's never had like a truly dominant number one receiver.
No, that's crazy to think about, honestly. The best I can think he's had is Hollywood Brown, but
He's not even that good. He's decent. He's he's a really good, like I would call him a gadget receiver. Like, but he's kind of just like he's super fast, so he's a deep threat. It's probably what he is. He's a deep threat receiver, but you also want your deep threat receiver to not be 5'9", and Hollywood Brown is 5'9". So that's
yeah,
part of the problem with him is yeah, he can take the top off of defense, but he's also not a good 50-50 ball catcher. So, like you want your deep threat to be super fast, maybe 6'1", 6'2", and able to just jump for that thing. And then you have very rare instances where it works for somebody that isn't that prototype body. And that's talking about like a Tyreek Hill where it works. But Tyreek Hill's freaky strong, like you can ask his kids. And that's a good joke that you didn't laugh at.
I don't have to cancel.
Oh, good point. That was funny though. Tyreek Hill is just like a freak of nature when it comes to all of those things. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, I took the Steelers. Who are you taking?
We're taking the Steelers. I think you're right. I think Lamar Jackson is going to be like, fuck it, we ball. Let's go to the fucking playoffs.
Yeah,
I think they'll get eliminated in the first round. I think they're going to get knocked out in the first round, but I think I'm going to take them. Yeah.
you're
So
you're gonna
I'm going
take
to take
the
the Ravens.
Ravens. Okay.
Say what?
First you said you're taking the
Um,
Steelers.
no, 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 no. You're taking the Steelers. The Steelers have let me down too many times this year. Lamar Jackson's going to say, fuck him with ball. The Steelers just lost to the Browns. They
Yeah,
just lost to the Browns. All they had to do was beat the Browns and they were in the playoffs. Okay, that's the crazy thing about it. All you had to do was win that game and you were in the playoffs. And they were
freak
just
of
like,
nature's Browns have a great defense. So all right. So the next so I picked Steelers, you took the Ravens. Pretty good start. We're gonna move to the next game, which is the Bucks versus the Panthers. Our beloved Baker Mayfield versus his old offensive coordinator, Dave Canales, who is a good offensive coordinator, by the way. Not a bad offensive coordinator. Good offensive coordinator. Clearly, as we can see
you're not
with
a great offensive coordinator if you can't figure out Baker Mayfield.
what do you mean he couldn't figure out Baker Mayfield?
Oh, that's right. He wasn't there. Never mind. Ignore me.
Yeah, he's the he started the resurgence of Baker Mayfield as an offensive coordinator. And then Liam Cohen, the head coach of the Jaguars, took it to another level. And obviously, we've seen some regression this year, but a lot of that comes from the fact that he has no defense, and it's just been a rough year for them. Yeah, here's what I'm going to say about the NFL right now, or Bucks, is they the Buka hasn't been involved. Chris Godwin has also been less involved. They have all this talent at wideout, and they haven't it hasn't come to fruition the last 6 or 7 games. Mike Evans is, he's getting up there and he's still 50-50 ball minutes, but he doesn't have that elite level burst that made him such a weapon most of his career. He's kind of turning into like a Larry Fitzgerald type of possession receiver, which isn't a bad thing. It's really good. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, all time great. Mike Evans is an all time great, but you're not getting that same level of production out of Mike Evans that you would typically get, um, and that's hurting them. And then their defense is just in shambles, lost, total, like everything that they're doing is not working. So they don't have an elite pass rusher. Diaby, I think, but he's almost like a project guy who has like bursts of really good like could do something, and then all of a sudden he's like very inconsistent, and that hurts his team. The fact that their defense can't stop a leaky faucet is hurting this team. Like it's bad, and so Carolina though. Bryce Young's looking really good under Dave Canales. They have the weapons, they have a good defense, they have a lot of good talent, like good young talent. However, I'm gonna take the Bucks to make the playoffs, just because it's Baker Mayfield.
You motherfucker.
I can't pick against him. He's he's like my childhood hero. It's weird because we're 1 year apart in like he graduated in 2013, I graduated in 2014. Um, but but yeah, funny story about Baker Mayfield. I'm not gonna go on a long tangent. High school year, we played Judson. In my junior year of high school, we played Judson, and watching Judson's defense, the offense that ran the most similar offense to us, or I'm sorry, watching Judson's offense, their defense that ran the most similar defense to us was Lake Travis. Watched a lot of Lake Travis tape. We also watched a lot of few teams tape, but then offensively, our offense to watch Blake Travis had the closest defense that we to closest offense that we ran. So our offense was just watching a bunch of Lake Travis versus Judson defense film, and we ended up beating them. And Lake Travis didn't beat them. So
What do you guys say about that, Baker?
what do you have to say about that?
Message
Not
him
that
right now.
Brandon, I didn't play on offense. I was a defensive guy. That being said, I did force a fumble that game. Another thing to be said. Another thing to be said about that team specifically. We had a Division 1 left tackle. We had a Division 1 running back, a two Division 1 wide receivers, technically four Division 1 wide receivers, because our starting safety played offense and defense. Alan Wright, he played at Fresno State. And he rotated in with this guy named Seth Damrow, who ended up playing at UTSA. Seth Damrow, funny story, played tight end at UTSA, was not a receiver at UTSA. We had Nate Phillips. Nate Phillips never went Division 1. Should have. Freak athlete, freak talent. Should have gone Division 1. Didn't. He played junior college and then became a bodybuilder. He's like a jacked dude now, but he was like probably the best kid growing up, like best athlete I grew up around. And then Alonzo Roscoe played Division 1 at UIW. So our offense that year,
Roscoe went to UIW?
yeah, he went to UIW for 2 years. He's in the Air Force now, but he went to UIW for 2 years. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, he quit because he was just like, hey, he I don't know, he probably was just like done with it. But yeah, he joined the Air Force. Another funny thing that we had some offensive linemen on there go to college, so like that offense was actually pretty stacked. And then yeah, and then our fifth string, our number 5 wide receiver was this kid named Jacobin Holmes, who's the son of the legendary Chiefs running back Priest Holmes. So cool story.
How tall was your quarterback?
Yeah, he was 5'8". He was my height. He was 5'8". Good quarterback, really good quarterback.
Yeah, the only reason he didn't go to another level was because he was a very small kid, unfortunately. But holy shit, dude could ball and throw a bomb.
Starting fullback slash utility back for that team also played Division 1 sports, Division 1 baseball. Billy Kraft.
Oh, well, yep, Billy Kraft. There you go. Which,
He's
by the way, great fullback name.
also you know who our backup fullback was? A guy by the name of Michael Kill. Yeah,
That's more of a linebacker name for me, but still great.
backup fullback. When I was a sophomore, we were doing spring football, and he ran an out route into the flat. I was in cover 2. I had a kill shot, but I weighed 127 pounds, so I bit and I played it perfectly. When I hit him, I did like a triple backflip off of him. I hit him as hard as I possibly could. He didn't even feel it. The coaches
Oh,
like laughing. They're like, "That's a great play by you. Just figure out how to make the play." Because like I was a small guy. You called me an ankle biter at one point, and I was. You know, around the locker room, we had a different name for me. They called me the axe because I was
you'd be
gonna
chopping
chop.
trees.
Yeah, I was chopping trees. But when it came to like, I didn't like put on. I put on like 30 pounds going into my senior year to where I could actually hit people up high and like tackle them. And so like there's like actually funny story. Moving forward, we have another fullback, probably heavier than this Michael Kill guy that runs an out route into the flat in a spring football practice. I same coverage. I triggered fast. It's the same play, but this time when I hit that guy, I knocked him back like 7 yards and forced a fumble. And it was in that moment I was like, man, these 30 pounds are really helping me right now. I could have used that a long time ago. But yeah, so anyway, this is a long tangent. But yeah,
I just want to let everyone know before Peyton started his tangent that he said this won't be long.
it wasn't that long. But yeah, I picked the Bucks. You got
I'm taking the Bucks. Baker, touchdown maker. Got to take him.
okay.
And that's a completely biased pick. Oh,
Yeah, that is biased. Okay, so the last one where we don't have to be biased is we have the Seahawks versus the Niners. This is for first place.
this is first place in the NFC. Yeah. You're playing
So
for a bye, which is way bigger in the NFL.
just going for off of a little tangent here, another tangent. I used to hate Sam Darnold, and then it wasn't anyone's fault besides Colin Cowherd. Because Colin Cowherd pushed this narrative that Sam Darnold was better than Baker Mayfield. I think what we've discovered about Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield is they're pretty much the same talent wise. For them, coaching matters
Yep.
and roster matters. But if you have a good roster or a decent roster around that team, like if you were to plug Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield into the Eagles roster last year, they both would have won a Super Bowl, in my opinion. You can't say that for every quarterback. You can't say that for every quarterback. But for Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, this specifically applies because I feel like Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield are in the same tier as the Jalen Hurts, just they're probably better talent wise. But as far as like what they can do for the team, they're in the same tier. Those two are just a little better than Jalen Hurts in that same tier. They're not the top level tier, although I believe Baker Mayfield at his best is top level. I don't believe Sam Darnold at his best is the top level tier. But Sam Darnold is still really good. Used to hate him because Colin Howard would always be like, Sam Darnold better than Baker Mayfield. Blah, 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 blah. But now that Colin Cowherd has shut up and come around to the fact that Sam Darnold is and Baker Mayfield are roughly the same, which my analysis when they were coming out was Sam Darnold has more work to get there, is a better frame. But as far as like what they can do for your offense and playmaking, I think they're the same. I just think that Baker has done it more had done it more at that moment. Um, for that reason, and I also don't hate Brock Purdy and don't hate the Niners, but I would just really like for the Seahawks to get first place. Also because I do hate Russell Wilson, and this would be nothing. I would love for the Seahawks to be successful without Russell Wilson. So therefore, I want the Seahawks to win. So I'm taking the Seahawks because I want them to win.
Well, the 49ers just played the game of the year
Yes.
um just a couple nights ago. 42-38 against the Bears. Last second goal line play doesn't go through and they win the game. Um gee, golly, oh,
Seahawks
Brock Purdy.
have the best receiver in the league right now, or by statistics wise. The best receiver in the league right now is probably like a Puka Nakua or like a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. I'm not saying that's not true, but Jackson Smith and Jigba is dominating like every statistical category.
Yeah.
So as far as like,
Um, I'm gonna look something up and I'm gonna bullshit talk um why I do it because this is gonna make my decision for me. Because watching that game, I was kind of like, man, there wasn't any defense in that fucking game. That they scored every single time, which is crazy.
something I do want to talk about while we're here, just because I find it interesting um, for my for my what we were talking about my high school, um, but the Division One athletes I played with. So my junior year, our starting safety is Alan Wright, goes and plays at Fresno State. My senior year, our starting safety is a newcomer to defense. He played offense his whole life. A guy by the name of Daryl Godfrey, who ends up going and starting eventually at UTSA. Um, and then after Daryl Godfrey leaves, the starting safety for the team that came in, he actually started as a freshman, was a guy by the name of Nook Bradford or Millard Bradford, who plays for the Saints right now, by the way. Um, he ends up going to TCU. So my high school for 6, maybe 7 years in a row. And this is not, I know this is common for like really good high schools. It's not common for like my like high school that's only ever sent like 3 people to the NFL. My high school had a 7 year period where they had a D1 safety starting for them every year. That's pretty cool. Also, my junior year, we also had Luke Farmer who was a Division I linebacker, but retired medically. We also had a Division I corner who was my same year, same grade, who was like a freak on the other side. And then they had another funny fact about my high school. My junior and senior year, our starting strong safety was named a guy. Starting strong safety my junior year was a guy named Stephen Cantu, who was also our starting kicker, but punter. He did the punts. And then my junior year or my senior year, our starting strong safety was another Hispanic man by the name of Ronnie Zuniga, who was also our starting kicker the next year. And Ronnie Zuniga coaches professional football in Mexico. He is a special teams coordinator of a professional football team in Mexico City. I
Oh yeah,
found
brother.
I found that out like weeks ago, and I've always wanted a way to plug it in. I just found a way to do it right now.
Well, now you have to tag all of them so they can start watching this.
I'm gonna like reach out to Ronnie and be like, "Hey, Ronnie, do you ever want to come on on my podcast?"
He's gonna be like, "Who are you?"
No, me and Ronnie like each other. Funny story. My senior year, Ronnie's really hard hitter, like big boy, could hit hard, good safety, could not cover man to save his life. So my whole moving into my senior year, I was supposed to be the starting strong safety. And then what happened was that's why I put on all the weight. I was like, I'm gonna become a safety. I need to, whatever, put on some weight. So I put on all this weight to play safety. And then I'm supposed to be the starting strong safety. And then all off season I practiced safety. Moving into my like 2 weeks before our first game, our coach is like, "You're going back to corner." Well, A, Ronnie was gone because he went to Mexico for like 6 months. But B, but B, not that wasn't the problem. The reason I had to go move back is because they're like, we think you're better at safety. We don't trust anyone to play corner. So then I played corner for like
Saying is they sabotaged. If every year they had a D1 safety, and then they didn't play you at safety, did they sabotage your career?
no. They had a D1 free safety. I would have played strong. No, we
Free
never.
safety. I missed the free safety part
I
earlier.
don't
It's just I
know.
thought you.
I'm not saying never, but I don't think my school ever had a Division I strong safety. Actually, historically speaking, our strong safeties for like the longest time were like these like 5'9" Hispanic, well, some type of Hispanic guy. So I would have been the sabotage of the Hispanic strong safety that was traditional
That's
for
crazy.
school. Yeah.
Anyways, I'm gonna take the Seahawks because uh the Seahawks got a great defense and they have a very, very good offensive unit. They're probably one of the more complete teams in the NFL right now. They can score a bunch
Yes.
of points, they can stop you from scoring points. The 49ers proved they could score points against a not as good Bears defense.
Yeah.
Um, I think they're gonna. I think it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be a very good game, but I think the Seahawks have the edge on this. So I'm gonna take the Seahawks.
I would mostly agree with that. I think I brought this up when we were on Fanatics, but um, I said that the Seahawks are one of the teams that I could see going all the way
Yeah,
because of the complementary football they play. And they remind me a lot of like the Chargers and the Rams. Those teams, those three teams, the Patriots. There's one more team that I'm forgetting about that I can't think of right now. I think it was the I don't remember the other team. It doesn't matter. But those four teams, there was five teams that I mentioned at the time. I talked about the Broncos' elite defense being able to win games too. So, but as far as like complementary football goes, the Seahawks, the Rams.
so Chargers, Seahawks, Super Bowl in San Francisco.
That would be awesome because it would be like the ultimate halfway mark point. I would love that for those fans. But yeah, Seahawks. So we
Seahawks.
have our
I'm
three
with you.
picks. I went I went Steelers, Bucks, Seahawks. You went Ravens, Bucks, Seahawks. So that wraps up the NFL. Before we leave you guys, we're going to go ahead and talk about some UFL news. Um, just to cap it off, UFL news. I did not come prepared with a. Actually, I did not come prepared with a New Year's segment. We should have done a New Year's segment, but I did not come prepared for one with one. So therefore, we won't. But we will talk about the UFL. UFL
I can
news.
hit you with one right now. I can fuck you up right now.
Hit me.
What is your New Year's football resolution?
New Year's football resolution.
What is something
Ooh.
you are definitely going to do that you did not do this year? You're going to do for football this year.
Okay. Okay. I like that. We're right. We'll get to that right after the UFL. The news. So last time we talked about the UFL, it was we had four coaches, four teams with coaches, four teams without coaches. We now have seven teams with coaches, one team without. The one team without, Houston Gamblers, formerly the Houston Roughnecks, formerly the Houston Gamblers. Um, Now the Houston Gamblers currently do not have a coach, and they let go of all the coaches, and they're bringing back, announcing the new coaches. The today Dallas, the Renegades announced to replace Bob Stoops, they would be bringing in Ricky Neuheisel, which is kind of exciting. He was a spring football coach for the Arizona Hotshots back in the AAF. The Hotshots were a pretty solid team, so that's actually kind of exciting. The next announced head coach was to replace the departed uh, David Beck. The St. Louis Battlehawks have brought in Ricky Prohl, who was their former offensive coordinator slash wide receivers coach. The dad to Battlehawks legendary receiver Austin Prohl, which I don't know if he's retired, but if he is retired, I hope he's on the coaching staff because hell of a receiver. Um,
Hmm.
and then on top of that, the Battlehawks. This is actually good for the Battlehawks. Ricky Prohl is a St. Louis native, so I think he can bring a lot of the same juice that Beck brought to that program. And then the final name for the Louisville Kings, the head coach will be former Louisville quarterback Chris Redman, I believe is his name. Um, they said they were going to hire a former Louisville quarterback to be the head coach of the Louisville Kings. I got really excited because I thought it was going to be Teddy Bridgewater, and I was like, dude, this is electric. I was really excited. I thought it was really good. Um, but yeah, they brought in Redmond. The Louisville team is just going to be a joke. I don't think they're going to sell a lot of tickets. I don't think they're going to get a lot, but maybe I'm wrong. And then they didn't do a splash hire like I thought they would do at head coach. Like if you're with a team like this, you should go for a splash hire. They didn't really do a splash hire. But yeah, so Neuheisel for Dallas was okay. I think there's some more Dallas friendly coaches you could have gone out and got, but Neuheisel's a proven coach, decent coach. So I was excited. That's a good thing. He said he didn't know if he was going to keep Luis Perez, which I think is dumb because like Luis Perez is the Renegades franchise. Even though he's not the best quarterback, he has the mind. Like if you give him free range to run an offense, he can do it. Um, it's when he has to play in the confines of what you want him to do. I think he does worse. But when he's calling the plays, does great. There's like when they won the championship in the XFL, that's what he was doing all the time, just going out there and telling people what to do. Um, and then Ricky Prohl for the St. Louis Battlehawks, actually, I think is a home run hire. So
I think that's a good hire. Yeah, I think it's the only hire there. I was like, okay, yeah, that is a pretty good one.
yeah, yeah, that I would say that. But for that franchise to get someone that we like or that people will like and that has like connection to the franchise is actually I think a bigger deal than people are going to make. The rest of them, it's whatever. But yeah. So anyway, football New Year's resolution. We're going to go ahead and start. Do you have a football New Year's resolution?
My football resolution for this year. I'm gonna go to at least three college football games with three different home teams.
Okay. Okay. I
I did
got two of them
UTSA, I
tickets.
did UTV. So I did two last year. I want to do three this year. I want to go watch more football. I just hope my 2026 in my personal life is better than 2025 and I can afford to go fucking do it. That's my
Mm,
resolution. I don't care what corner I have to work. I don't care what drugs I have to sell. I'm gonna go watch football.
allegedly, allegedly.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm kind of on the same page with you. I attended two college football games last year or this season. I want so my New Year's, my New Year's resolution, pending a deployment, which uh we'll see. Um, if I'm not deployed overseas, I my new football resolution is I have actually a bunch, like a bunch of caveats. I'm gonna play in another flag football league for sure. I'm going to record a tailgate that we actually go to, big one.
I should say, along with mine, I want all three of mine recorded at least.
Yes.
I want to go to three different home games. I want them for three different teams. I want them all to be recorded so we can produce them and put them out here.
And my goal is to go to, I want to say six, but I'm going to say five college football games. Actually, five football games. So that could be a UFL. No, no, let's make it six because I want to go to six football games. That could be UFL, NFL, college, any level college. I do want to go to, I think one of my resolutions is we've done FCS and I want to go and record an actual FCS tailgate, a couple of them maybe, hopefully. Um, I want to go to a UTSA tailgate. I want to go to an FBS tailgate and I want to go to a Division 2/3 tailgate or game, hit one of the lower divisions and give them some love as well.
You know what would be a crazy one, a joint one, a stretch goal, you could say?
Yeah,
The big Alamo Dome high school football day that they have, we need to hit that one. And for people that
really.
don't know, it is a spectacle of football if you love football, which I by the way, I this is a personal belief I have or something like I prefer the NFL because the talent's so good. The talent all fits in a bracket, right? You can watch great, fun high school football, even though none of those kids are going to the NFL or even college. So those games are still fun. The Alamo Dome for the second round or third round?
Historically, it was the second round when I was in high school, but now because of UTSA, I think it's a little different. I think it's now like the fourth round happens. So the fourth round, the regional games are almost always in the Alamo Dome, from what I remember. So the quarterfinals, but the second round we used to do 3 days in a row, three games that day, 3 days in a row.
Yeah, and so you buy a ticket at 10:30 a.m. and you sit in the Alamo Dome for 12 hours and you watch three different football games, and
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. And I want to go do that this year, and I want to go do a video on that. So I think that's our stretch goal. Three different for me, three different football games, three different home teams getting recorded for the podcast next year, and then my stretch goal: get the high school football playoffs, Texas high school football playoffs, so you know they're fun, and get one of those glorious days where you buy a ticket. Back then, they were super cheap. Me and Dad did it one time
Oh yeah.
before O'Connor had their big run. We just watched football all day, and it was hilarious watching Brandeis lose to Steele, watching I can't remember the quarterback's name, drop it back, and the Brandeis. First of all, the Brandeis fans were in the stands an hour before the game started, and they were doing chants. They were doing chants, and then the game started. Steele goes up 21-0 quick. It's almost halftime. He's like, well, they're at the 35, and they gotta throw it. They gotta throw it. And he can't throw. And then this kid immediately drops back and throws a spiral, a perfect pass into the corner and for another touchdown for the go up 28-0 before
That
half. And I was
kid,
like,
the kid you're talking about, Tommy Armstrong, like one of the greatest Nebraska quarterbacks in the last
was it Tommy
25
Armstrong?
years.
What?
It was Tommy Armstrong Jr. Yeah, starting Nebraska quarterback. I know because I remember this story. And meanwhile, fucking Brandeis' starting quarterback didn't even go play Division 3 college football. That's the funny part. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, Tommy Armstrong uh, was the Cibolo Steel starting quarterback from 2010 to, and that's the year they won state. Uh, Let me,
Oh yeah, you were absolutely right. Yeah, it was Tommy Armstrong. Holy shit.
yeah, if there's one thing I'm an expert on, it's mid 2010s um high school football players. You could give me a team in a year and I could probably tell you one of their players that ended up going and playing Division 1 college football.
Bandera ISD 2008.
I said mid 2010s.
Oh, sorry.
Bandera,
Bandera ISD 2014,
no one went and played college football from Bandera.
2015, 16, 13, 12, 11, 10. The joke is no one went.
Okay, Devin, anything to add before we cut this thing off?
Um, very excited for football this weekend.
Hmm.
Very, very excited for football this weekend. It's gonna be a really good weekend for football. I want to wish everybody, because I didn't wish them a Merry Christmas, so I hope your Christmas is okay. But I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year, a amazing 2026, for everybody except for Lane Kiffin. And I hope you're healthy and your family's fine, but I hope you just have a really bad year when it comes to football. Um, and if you keep going after sorority girls, I hope you get caught. And Peyton, I hope you don't get deployed because I don't know what I'm gonna do on this podcast by myself. And geez, I guess um, I hope I hope Indiana, or actually I hope Ole Miss beats Georgia by a 50-yard field goal so I can go play lotto tickets and win it. And then I don't have to do this podcast anymore.
Or we could do it extra well.
Probably what I actually would do is just go buy a bar and we would just go be at the bar. I'd be like, let me talk to your who's in charge. I go to Pete Hegseth and I'd be like, how much to buy out my brother's contract right now?
I actually know it's
How
like a
much to
million.
buy him at?
It'd be like just
What?
like $1 million.
Oh yeah, I'll give him $1 million straight. I'm like, you do I need to give this to the Pentagon
You
or do you
don't
just
give
want to
it
take
to
it?
them, you give it to me, and then I'd be like, "Hey, I make too much money to be in the army," and they'd be like, "Okay, get out, early
Oh,
discharge." Yeah, something like that. It's like if you make a lot of money, something happens. I don't know. It happened to Zach Bryan, the singer. Um, that being
nice.
said, um, okay, yeah, everything Devin said. Merry Christmas to everyone but Lane Kiffin. Happy New Year, to everyone but Lane Kiffin. Let us know your football New Year's resolutions in the comments below. Um, yeah, that's episode 19. We're one away from episode 20. Thank you guys for tuning in. Do all the things like, subscribe, do that. We'll follow us on Facebook. Eventually, I will have the Spotify up. I thought I figured it out like 2 weeks ago, didn't figure it out. I have to do a bunch of things with converting files. Not great at it. I'll figure it out though. And when we do, we'll have a Spotify and all that stuff up and running as well. So, that being said, thank you guys. We appreciate y'all. I'm Peyton. That's Devin. This has been Tailgate Sports Media Podcast, episode 19.